Welcome to page 1. Today, we're going to be finding the part of a total. We're going to use the formula rate times total equals part, and we're going to be using a tape diagram to represent our problem. Remember, the formula we're going to use, let's abbreviate, is R times T total equals P, part of that total. Let's start with a simple problem. Please record this in your notebooks. Draw a nice rectangle. This is called a tape diagram. This tape diagram will help represent the parts and the pieces of the story problem we're going to be working on. And we're going to be using the formula R times T equals P to solve for the part we're looking for. Let's take a look at a basic, simple story problem. Let's say this entire bar represents 500 people total, which is 100% of our population that we're going to study. Both of these are T totals, but this is a people number and this is a percentage rate. Now we're going to break our total population up into two parts. Let's say part of this population is made up of girls and the other part is made up of boys. And for each section, we're going to get a rate, which stands for the letter R. Let's say 60% of the population is made up of girls. Well, we know if the total population is 100%, that 100% take away 60% means that the remaining piece must make up 40% of the population. So over here, the rate we're going to use for the boys is 40%. That's the rate for that part of the bar. So keep in mind, 60 plus 40 equals 100 total. Those two pieces, of course, add up to the percent total. Now, it's our job to figure out of the 500 people total, what part is made up of girls, and out of the 500 total, how many boys are there in this part of the bar? Well, before we start working with the formula, let's quickly just change our rates into decimal values. We're currently given the rates as percentages, but let's convert this to a decimal, 0.60 representing the girls, and scoop, scoop, 0.40 representing the boys. So depending on what you're looking for, it will determine which of those two rates you're going to use. Let's say we want to start with figuring out how many girls there are. Well, remember, that's out of 500. So go over to your formula, and we're going to use the R rate and the T total to figure out how many girls there are out of 500. Here we go. Our rate is 60% or 0.60, and our total for the entire bar is 500. Take a moment and punch that into your calculator. 0.60 times 500. You should have gotten 300 girls. Now, there are two ways to figure out how many boys. First of all, you know that 300 girls plus how many boys there are, those two values better add up to 500. So I guess the shortcut might be simply this. Take 500, subtract the 300 that are girls. You should have 200 left over for the boys. Or you could have used the formula with the rate of 40% or 40 hundredths. Let's try another one. Let's try another problem. Please draw a tape diagram in your notes and jot down the formula next to the tape diagram. Let's say in a jar, total jar, we have 600 marbles total. That's 100% of the items we're studying. This is your total marble number, and this is your total percentage. Some of those marbles are red, and some of those marbles are blue. Let me give you a rate for each section. Let's say we're told that 35% of the marbles are red. That's a rate for that particular part of the bar. We know that if we take 100% total and subtract 35%, that 65% is left over. That represents the rate for the blue part of the bar. Now, we need to find out of those 600 marbles, how many of those or what part is red and what part of the group is blue. Well, this time, let's go with this section of the bar. Let's figure out how many are blue. I'm going to convert each of my rates to their decimal equivalent, 0.65, and scoop over here, 0.35. Now, since I'm looking for this part of the bar, I'm going to use the rate of 0.65. So let's plug that into the formula. 0.65 times 600 marbles total. Take a moment and punch that into your calculator. Figure out how many blue marbles live in the jar. You should have gotten 390 marbles. Well, remember, that's out of 600. So how many marbles are left over for this part? Take 650 and subtract 390 blue marbles. Take a moment and figure out how many marbles are left over for the red section of the bar. You should have gotten 210 red marbles. This concludes the lesson. Please go on to page 2 and complete the assigned problems. Watch the video and take notes in your spiral notebook.